So, hello everyone. Yes, some people coming in. Motion Potato, Ikameshi, Gucci Flucci. Hey, hey. Nice to have
What's
you guys
good?
here. Yeah, and now officially welcome Patrick Foley, aka Patrick 4D, aka the Gordon Ramsay of 3D food.
The digital chef. Yes, thank you for having me,
Yeah,
man. What's going
yeah.
on?
Thank you very much for having you. And um, yeah, I think let's just dive into it. And I thought for the beginning it would be super nice to kind of speak a little bit about your personal journey. Like, how did you start with 3D? What was your early work? Maybe you could share a little bit of your early works. I know there was
Yeah,
a time where
100%.
you were doing some SpongeBob stuff. That was also
Oh
super
man.
nice, but but I think
Yeah.
it was not your very early work, right?
Yeah, that's like middle of the ground kind of work. But yeah, my name is Patrick. I go by the digital chef, kind of in like the 3D world. I'm known for doing a bunch of like photorealistic food renderings and illustrations for packaging and CPG brands. And so a lot of times I'll be making things that traditionally would be shot in like a studio as like food photography, and my work gets put on ads for like everything from packaging, like the actual boxes that go on the store shelves, or even digital for like social media or websites for brands like Pop Tarts, McDonald's, different Raising Canes, like all these different types of brands, um, mostly in the U.S. But I've done stuff for I guess different brands in like Europe and stuff like that. But it actually started early on. I want to say 2016 was the first time I started making stuff in a program called Cinema 4D, which is where
Hmm.
I kind of compose the scene. I usually make everything in ZBrush. That's a different sculpting platform. Um, but I actually went to film school, so my background is in camera and lighting. So my
Oh,
my goal
nice.
was being a director of photography back in the day. I thought I was going to be someone who was doing a bunch of music videos, who was shooting commercials. So that's where my love of like cameras and lighting came. So when I came to the 3D scene as a hobby, kind of halfway through college, this was 2016. I didn't know how to like sculpt anything, model anything, but I did know how to
Hmm.
like, add a sphere, add a cube and merge them together, Boolean, and then like light them and texture them in a way in which they looked really realistic. So my upbringing in the 3D scene was actually just photorealism and abstract. Um, Kind of during the Beeple days and the Hood Ass days, before being an influencer was really a thing, before there was like video capability on Instagram. And I've just been doing it very steadily ever since 2016. So I never had really like a blow up year or a blow up. It was just a very steady incline.
Hmm.
Um, and I went through a bunch of different phases. It was first like this abstract phase, then it went to I think like environments. Remember like the Beeple stuff and the Hood S. And then it went to like trying to make real objects, like commercial objects, like video game controllers and stuff. And mind you, everything under the hood was horrible, like millions of polygons all over the place. But at least the render looked fine, so I could get away with a lot of stuff pretty early on, and
Hmm.
that landed me client work. So when I finished film school, I got a film degree.
Hmm.
Uh, I was coincidentally getting more work in this 3D field, just doing small like music related projects, or I think my first decent project was like an Adidas thing for like a store in Rome, I believe. And
Nice.
uh yeah, I was like, if I'm just doing this as like a part-time thing and I'm getting this work, and I don't really feel bad because I learned the program while I was at school on my own time, so I'm technically taking advantage of the school. um I might just quit this film thing because I was already kind of getting tired of carrying film equipment and like lighting things. I'm like, I can do the same stuff in this program
Hmm.
without having to rent heavy lights, without breaking stuff on set, relying on people to show up on time, working with rappers. Um, and so I went from kind of the guy pushing some artist's dream to kind of the artist in a sense. And that's when I just went from, I think eventually I was like, okay, if I want to make anything more than just like merging shapes together in this really weird fashion, I'm going to need to learn this program called ZBrush. And that
Hmm.
was the sculpting. That's where I went from like slowly learning how to sculpt and learning things tool by tool. Never took like a master class, just which by the way, real quick, you do not have to know how to draw. I don't know how to draw. I like stick
Mhm.
figure draw. So I no drawing skills, no capabilities.
Same, by the way.
Somehow I was able to form these shapes in a way where I just got comfortable with it. So honestly, it made me realize if I want to draw one day, I just need to be passionate about it. It's not about, oh, I just will never be able to be a good, drawer. I just never had like
Mhm.
the will to learn drawing really well. So I think that just goes to show, you could pretty much learn anything. And then it went from kind of like products I was making, everything from like shoes to cream bottles to whatever, to sculpting characters. And then
Mhm.
now fast forward, we're at like 2020. This was like COVID, NFT scene. Everybody was like trying to hire for like, can you make these characters? I never made like an NFT series myself, but I did a lot of contract jobs where I was making characters.
Okay. Mhm.
And that went into, okay, I made all these characters on my free time, like Homer Simpson, the Family Guy characters, the weird SpongeBob stuff, doing
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
fun
yeah.
things, to what do you call it? To making cartoon foods. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I did all the characters I can think of. What if I just do the foods that popped up in these cartoon scenes, like the Krabby Patty, the Homer Simpson donut, all these other things? And then that's where I got into food. I was like, well, if I can make these, why don't I just make real food? And
Mhm.
again, at a time where I was like, I don't really see a lot of people doing food as like their only main thing. Like I've seen
True,
it
yeah.
done before, like in an agency sense, but I wasn't seeing anybody that was like the digital chef, the only thing they do is food. And I think I had a following at the time at that point, maybe like 100K or so, 120K, where I was like, I'm getting client work based on the stuff I'm posting, so might as well start doing this food stuff. And it went from this one long series to this, I'm the food guy. And I started getting, client pieces for food projects. And I was like, there is a market here.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just glad that I think I just settled down in that niche and kind of hopped off the train of all the different niches and like being a generalist to being very comfortable in my food niche, because there was way less learning when I got projects. It's like, oh, now I got to learn how to like rig. Now I got to learn how to texture paint these things. It's just, I was one now when I get clients, it's like, oh, you just need this made. This is even simpler than the dailies I make for food. So here we
Yeah.
are doing the food scene, and it's been like a few years at this point.
Yeah, and by the way, back when I was at Man vs. Machine and some kind of food job popped up, there was always references from you in the deck, which was super funny.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
wild.
I also think like thinking about it, I know quite a lot 3D artists, but I think you really mastered this kind of food stuff. And I think everyone that has ever tried to create like CGI food knows how hard it is to make something look really delicious and good. I always
Yeah,
struggled with that, and I feel like you really mastered that, which is super nice. I just wanted to ask you,
appreciate it.
like you mentioned your early days with those kind of abstract shapes, and you put on some realistic shaders or your environment stuff. Do you have like maybe
Yeah.
one or two renders you could share with us, just to see
Ooh.
whether? I mean, if it's not,
Yeah.
if it's if you
Let
cannot
me
find
pull
it
up.
quickly, it's also fine, but it would be super interesting to see your early steps, and then we can also see that you're a human. Like you started,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, let
you
me see. I
started low,
definitely have.
and it was a
Let me see
progression
how
there.
early I can dig down. It might be in a different computer's hard drive, because at some point way early on I wasn't saving
Hmm.
things as
Fair enough.
properly as I should have been, obviously, but
Fair
let's
enough.
see.
I
Oh, it
think,
might actually.
yeah, I
No, go
think
on.
like if you show stuff from your SpongeBob or a Family Guy era, that's like also a few years ago, but that was still really, really good, right? People will be like, that's not a beginner work or something. Um,
Yeah, let me actually bring up this this is kind of what I show at different presentations. Is there a
mhm.
way to share the screen, or
I don't know. It should be right on the. Is it on the top right? It's called. I have it on German. It's called share or something within Zoom.
let's see.
Um,
Oh, I'm looking at the Twitch screen. Okay. Here. Let's go share screen. Yeah, I'll do this. Let me know if this is working.
Yeah, should be working. I mean, do you guys
Okay.
see it in the stream? And by the way, let's just do
You
a
see
quick
this?
question. Can you guys hear us both pretty well? Is everything fine? Just let
Okay,
us
check.
know in the chat if everything is fine. If you can hear us, fine. If you can see everything properly,
Yeah, I
everything's
see it on
peachy.
Twitch here. It looks good.
Nice. Good,
Okay,
awesome.
cool.
Nice,
So I
okay.
have. Let me just flip through. These are just some slides of me presenting at like SIGGRAPH and Half Res in Chicago. This is me
Awesome,
being a
man.
Chad back in the film days. So I did a lot of these things. Let me just
Looks
fast forward through
professional. Looks
renders.
super professional with those big cameras.
Yeah, it was funny. I went from shooting from these cameras to like this camera, like these little 3D cameras. So this was the stuff that I started doing at the beginning. Like it was like,
Oh, okay.
even though it looks, and these aren't my very first renders. Obviously, this was like into the abstract phase. But I mean, when you think about it, I was able to make things look really kind of complex, but under the hood, it was very simple. I mean, half of these are just revolving around a sphere, and then you got spheres around the sphere. So it's just like learning how to use the MoGraph cloner in Cinema 4D. But it just goes to show if you can like set the scene, and compositionally these are really just like centered. So if you can like light them in a way where you have nice HDRIs and you have good reflections, I think a lot of people I noticed like you could tell the people that didn't have like a film knowledge because they would place like just a regular omni light in front of the object that's like chrome and be like, why does this look bad? I'm like, you don't have anything reflecting. Like, a
Yeah.
chrome is only as good as what it's reflecting.
Yeah, true.
So
That's true.
so yeah, these were some like beginning works from like the abstract phase, and I would just do like one of these things a day, and somehow this landed me a bunch of random client pieces. But I tell people it's a much more interesting landscape these days. Now everyone is posting stuff. Everyone is trying to be a content creator. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's
it's
true.
much harder to get your foot in the door these days.
Yeah, I totally
And
agree.
these were kind of like the, once I was like, all right, let me try to make stuff. Well, like when I started, I was like, why would I want to make stuff that exists? Like I want to make stuff that's like trippy like this that doesn't exist in real life. And then you eventually get to a point where you're like, all right, well, let me challenge myself. Well, let me see if I can try to make things that do exist and make them cooler in that way. And that turned into, let me go. Oh yeah, this was like some of the character stuff, like the really crazy
Oh yeah.
botched character stuff.
Oh yeah. The SpongeBob
This is
stuff.
when I was like maybe a year and a half into, or maybe just a year, honestly, into ZBrush.
Wow.
And I think again, it's really about like getting good at cheating in ways, because even though this stuff looks like extremely detailed and like over the top, like I'm just like stacking displacements, and like when you have like when you know how to like use lighting to your advantage and you know how to use displacement and textures and you're layering stuff, because the end result was just supposed to be this messy garbage in the first place. It was really I found it like killing two birds with one stone. I'm able to kind of make these in ways where I'm just slapping stuff together, but it worked because the series revolved around things looking really messy. It's just about kind of controlling that mess. And
Yeah.
then I just kind of went with it. And it just gets worse and worse. This is the Meg Griffin, Eric Cartman, Jimmy Neutron from all these different,
Damn, I love
all these
Cartman.
different. Yeah, it's like it doesn't even look like him. He looks like some like middle-aged guy with like a scruff. They were so
Yeah.
uncanny, but I think at the time that's what people were like, this is so weird. And then when I made all the characters I could think of, I was like, yeah, why don't I try making like foods, different cartoons, like the Purple Flurp. I don't know if you guys know this, I don't know if you guys are mostly in Europe, but in here we had a show called The Simpsons, where there was a donut that was kind of like a figure piece to the show, the Paddy Wagon from SpongeBob movie, and Purple
Yeah.
Flurp. And I was like, I feel like I always wanted to eat these or drink these back in the day. What would these look like in real life? And so that kind of was the inspiration for a lot of that. And then it turned into like, what if I just make real foods? And that's when this kind of work started.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
was I just went through all these different series. I was like, if I didn't have the knowledge of all the other stuff before, I probably wouldn't have been able to be this hot out of the gate with the food stuff, but it landed pretty well. I was able to make a lot of these different types of stuff. I was like, now that we're in the food series, what if we split it up into different sub series? Like, what if we collab food brands with couture fashion brands like Chanel cookies or Louis Vuitton, biscuits, or Michael Kors M&Ms, and landed to another series called Hybrid Eats, where I would combine things and combine different brands. We have like Twix mixed with Pop Tarts, Ritz crackers mixed with Butterfinger, and Goldfish mixed with Nutella. And so there's just like really
Crazy
fun ways to like
combinations.
mess with things. Like once I start making all the foods that I can think of, it's like, well, we just start combining them. But
Yeah.
it lands to really cool brand opportunities, and people comment on, some of these brands will comment and be like, "Ooh, this is a good idea," and then sometimes I'll even see things in the stores, and I'm like, I feel like I made that back in the day. Maybe I like helped inspire some of that. But yeah, this is a pretty big deck, so I don't know how much you want me to flesh through it if you have more questions. But that was pretty much how I got to the
Mhm.
food scene.
Yeah, it's all good. I also wanted to say I saw that you're lately playing with some technical, mechanical style, like ventilators, but with chips, with lace chips and stuff like that, right? You're kind of playing with
Yeah,
some mixing up stuff and trying to create a surreal feel, which I really like.
100%.
So,
It keeps it fresh too. Like people ask all the time, like, do you ever get tired of making food? Like, and I guess it's
mhm,
kind of like asking a character artist, do you ever get tired of making characters? Like that's just kind
fair
of the
enough. Yeah.
thing. But within the food field, it's like there are definitely ways to get creative with it. It's like I think that's one of the ways. There's so many ways. I mean, food genres in and of itself is very different. Like me making a Kit Kat or like a Milka bar is way different than making a cheeseburger, and that's way different
Yeah.
than making cereal. And that's so it's even though they're foods, the way I'm making them start very differently. So it's unlike like in my opinion, if I were doing character work, I feel like you're always going to start with like two eyes and a face and a nose. Like foods have just different properties altogether.
Hmm. Yeah, fair enough. So for every kind of food, you need a different approach. It's not like there's a recipe for every kind of food in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so,
100%.
so I think you mentioned it already. You said you had a few other clients like Adidas in the early days
Mm-hmm.
also. So one question would be: have you ever thought of any other genre to work on other than food, or have you ever had some other clients? Um, and maybe you could also share something or show something because on your website it's nowadays all food, which I totally understand
Mm,
because that's your kind of niche. But it would be interesting to see
yeah.
maybe some other work you've done.
I'm trying to think if I have any. I mean, yeah, I've done stuff for brands like Bank of America.
Hmm.
I did stuff for Meta for their launch. I think I was just starting food when I did that project, but it was part of like a Mark Zuckerberg video where he was kind of going over different features of like the metaverse, and I made some
Hmm.
like piano that he was messing with in the video. There's been
Okay.
like Acer, different collaborations with like tablet companies, um, different shoe brands. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything prepped for that kind of work. It's been a while since it's
Yeah, I can understand that.
for those specific projects, and by this time they're probably not even like being showcased on the website or anything
Hmm.
like that. And then obviously my stuff is just showcasing food, but
Yeah.
yeah, everything from like Bank of America for like a credit card commercial to I'm really trying to think. It's been so long since I've had to talk about those kind of projects. I'm like I was definitely doing a bunch of there was like cream and lotion companies where I was making
Hmm.
like the jar and like kind of showcasing those. But it wasn't really any specific type of work. It was just like, oh, this is a lotion company. Oh, this is a shoe company. Oh, is this? And that's kind of what I was saying about like always having to learn something when I was being hopping on the project to the food stuff, being very comfortable easy
Yeah.
on. But I think it took me being a generalist. I think everybody needs to start as a generalist to figure
Yeah.
out what they like and don't like.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like I'm still in that kind of stage. Like when I get booked, I feel like I usually been booked for like so many different things. Like sometimes it's a shoe, sometimes it's something completely different. And it's good sometimes because you learn new stuff, as you said. You kind of get a wider skill set, and so on. But obviously, I'm using Houdini, so it's a bit different to your approach.
Ooh, that's its own beast. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it is, it is. But circling back to your food renderings, like, is there something you would say, or what is actually your best advice to food renderings? Is there something you would say that's really what was eye opening for me when it comes to food renderings?
Yeah, I think obviously having I think what I've noticed from pretty much all foods other than like M&Ms and M's and really hard candies that have no translucency is
Mm-hmm.
everything's got a little bit of subsurface scattering. Like light
Mm-hmm.
bleeds into every kind of food more than you would think. So oftentimes things end up looking very plasticky or hard, or even like food replicas if you don't have those kind of things dialed in. Um, as well as I found that, like, for instance, if you're making a cheeseburger, if you're making something that's very greasy,
Mm-hmm.
upping the index of refraction, kind of in my head feels like the grease meter. So like if I have something at like a 1.3 IOR, and it's just not looking greasy or like shiny enough, that's a really easy way to just up the grease level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and stuff like that. I think you just learn a bunch of things that make the food not only look more realistic but appetizing as well, because it's two different things you're trying
Yeah.
to do. One, it has to look real and not just like a plastic thing, but it also has to look very tasty. And then finding that middle ground between them.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. So I also like was on at some point I was on a Coca-Cola job and they wanted to have some
Oh yeah.
spaghetti meal on the table and stuff like that. And it was really, really tricky for me. I think like again, food is like the hardest way in to do in 3D, in my opinion, because
Is
there's
it
like yeah, sorry.
yeah, were you doing like a bunch of sim, like a sim for the noodles, or were those like splines?
Yeah, maybe I can show it real quick. It's
Sure.
I mean, I'm a little bit proud. Maybe you can rate my food rendering here.
That
um,
would actually be a fun series. I haven't done that yet. I have never done like a rating people's food renders.
yeah, that would be really fun. So let me just share my screen and then we can discuss from there. So can you see it? So I was like actually building
Ooh,
the
nice, dude.
the bottle and doing some ice stuff and some droplets and stuff like that. Um, then some variations for that. And that was actually
Yeah,
the
that's
meal.
nice.
Um, man, it took me so long to get this right, and I still feel it's not. I mean, it's not perfect.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but yeah, I was like simulating the like kind of splines, and I had like a cylinder collider, so they kind of um land like this, and then I
Right.
also had some cylinder collider for those artist piers or something. I think those were even 3D scans, and I think also the is this basil or what is like this kind of herbs here? It's also some kind of 3D scanned acid. So that was not
Wow.
done
Okay.
on my own.
So you're kind of mixing 3D scans mixed with
Yeah, exactly,
pure
exactly.
video.
And then all this Parmigiano cheese was like done procedurally and those noodles. Um,
Dude, nice.
thank you, man. Yeah, it was a weird job actually. Like if you had such a meal, you probably wouldn't drink a Coca-Cola to it, right? But it was still funny to do as an
Hey,
R&D.
Coke goes with everything.
Yeah.
No, that's
Anyways,
really nice, man.
thank you. Thank you very much. Um, so speaking about all this client stuff, and if you don't feel comfortable with this question, it's completely fine. But I usually ask that every artist.
Mhm.
What is your day rate actually? You're an expert on food renderings, and I guess it's probably quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, so uh oddly enough, I don't actually have like a set day rate.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to base projects on a per project basis. So like if a client comes to me, um I want to figure out everything about the project, what I'm making. So I'll charge for what I'm making because I'm pretty good at gauging like, okay, this will take me about this many days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I don't know, the way I think about day rates, it's I feel like you get penalized for working fast.
Yeah.
So like um if I'm very good, I've like practiced everything and I've got no point. Like these dailies that, you see on my Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
if I did like a massive client piece, but it ended up I only had to work on it for like a few hours for the most part. It's like that it hurts me to charge for like a mere day rate, or it just sounds ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, I
Hmm.
charge like 20 grand a day. It's just like that sounds crazy. So
Yeah.
like, but I can say for projects they vary a bunch. Like I would say, um, typical pro. There's no real typical like, oh, they're this much. They're all depends on like how many SKUs they want of things.
Hmm.
But I can say, anyway, sometimes we'll have stuff for like in like the 20 to 40K range, and then I've had all
Hmm.
the way up to like the 250K for a project. So it's it kind of like varies, and it
Okay.
sounds crazy, but I think when you start talking about licensing in the food world, that's like a big thing. They want to have all their dots crossed
Hmm.
and signed, so they having licensing for like packaging and this, and then sometimes clients will have like their own 3D teams that maybe are not technically skilled enough to make their product from scratch, but when I make it, I will license out the 3D design files to them as a
Hmm.
separate charge. So it just depends on how the project the company wants it. If they have 3D teams kind of working at them, or if I'm just sending them statics, like high res statics for them to use as like the hero shots.
Yeah, fair enough. I just worked, I think, once or twice with a fixed budget, and I made like kind of bad experience because I had no
Mm.
professional contract or something, and the client like kept circling back with revisions and revisions and revisions, and we kind of landed in a circle where we're stuck like with kind of revisiting all the stuff, and he wanted to have new stuff in, and it was super tedious. So actually, for me, I made the experience that I said like day rate works better for me, but probably if you have a nice
That's
contract or
fair.
something,
Yeah. I
that
guess
that
I
says
forgot to
like,
mention too that there are definitely when I'm kind of setting in the project and the scope of the client,
hmm.
um, I'll include like a couple revisions for free. So like there it's not like, yeah, I make this project for this rate, and then anytime you want feedback, you can just,
Yeah.
reopen the queue, and then we start working on it again. There's definitely clauses that say like, um, but I think that can be fixed just by like, hey, two revisions, and then every additional revision is blank. Um, but yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks that they kept coming back and they weren't
Yeah.
taking your time seriously.
We didn't have a proper contract there. It was I was a beginner in the freelance world. It was one of my biggest mistakes, I actually would say.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you have like proper communication and you say like you have two revisions and everything else is like blank, or you need to pay on top if you want to have a third or a fourth one, that's probably
yeah.
that's really nice, and that probably works better with some fixed
Which, yeah, that actually it actually brings up a decent point. I was talking about this to a buddy today,
Mhm.
coincidentally, and I actually had the least maybe learned from my mistakes or what have you, and it maybe just because I am so niched and what I do is very like as far as the ask, very simple. Like we want these renders of our product, boom. Especially if they have very detailed style guides. But I do not like messing with paperwork. I don't send a bunch of forms to clients. I'm not sending
Mhm.
NDAs out. I'm not sending a bunch of DocuSigns out. I will sign stuff if it's sent and needed for me, from the client, but I'm not the one that's like sending out max paperwork, max this. I know every artist works differently, but like some of my biggest projects that were over like 100K, I'm just
Mhm.
signing a simple half page purchase order, like PO. So, um, and then you'll see people who like it'll be like a 5K job and they're signing like a 15-page paper, and it's like, whoa, like what is going on here? So I just
Yeah.
always like to keep it simple. Like I don't like to make my work be this like big paperwork, like
Mhm.
crazy thing. But again, maybe that's a me thing because I don't even consider myself like a creative director at this point, like with clients. I make a product that's going to be on their packaging. I'm not like, here's like this big deck of ideas I have, and like, here's I want you to sign this NDA because I don't want you to take my idea. Like,
Mhm.
everything's already been planned by the time they get to me.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But I think at least you should have some frame rules like the times of revisions and stuff. But I think also, like you said,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
don't need to overdo it and have like a 15-page contract or something. I
Yeah.
also
The way I
like,
see it is
yeah.
if there's any kind of paper trail, like obviously whatever way you're telling them, unless it's in like a video call, I guess. So like even if it's in an
Hmm.
email and I'm like, okay, or in my initial estimate, I'll put it like, this comes with blah blah blah. But I'm not sending like massive, packets of paperwork to them, because I think they, you know, contrary to popular belief, I think everybody, including them, want to keep it simple. Like they don't want to be like reading over thousands of things, and I think they want some dope renders. We send it, they get to use it. Boom, I'm happy. They're happy. We work on it. Like
Yeah.
I don't see much more information that needs to be relayed than like how many revisions, what's the price, and like what am I sending? What's the deliverables? What are the actual deliverables? Am I sending like 5 transparent PNGs they can slap on, or am I sending 3D design files that
Hmm.
include ZBrush files that include texture maps and all that stuff? Other than that, I try to keep it simple. Maybe too simple. Like maybe
Yeah.
like learn from my mistakes, but I have never had a problem in my like 3D career, at least. Like all my mistakes I feel like I made were my film days, where I was like, yo, pay me like $100, and then they just never paid me. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you also struggled, because one time, I think it was also in the beginning of my 3D journey, I was waiting like for 16,000 euros or something, like a payment, and it was a booking over a couple of months, and I was waiting like 6 months or
Oh wow.
something. It was horrible, but I'm happy. I think almost everyone had this kind of story where they did not get paid, or at least got paid
Yeah.
quite late. So I think it's also important to make those kind of experiences early, so
Yeah.
you're kind of getting more and more professional.
Right.
Um,
No, I think I
yeah.
try to do like at least like a 50% up front before work's done. And I know people
Hmm.
feel like they have different leverage. You're not trying to be too picky if you're someone who like can't get any client work, and you're not trying to be too difficult. But at least for me, I feel like I've been able to not get scammed a bunch just by doing like a half up front, and then like before you send the final deliverables, once you get that final check or deposit, then you send it your way. So there's really zero way that you could be super uh scammed, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Are you doing this 50% upfront always, like all the time? Or is it like
I,
just with
I would
studios you don't
say
know? Or
half the time. If it's direct to
okay.
the client, I would do that. I know the agencies work a little bit different. A lot of them do like a net 30 thing, so that's a little bit
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah.
But at that point, if you're working for like a reputable agency, you also don't have to worry about getting scammed too often. Like it's really only like the one-off people that are um I don't know, like back in my day. It's like nowadays it's just like you're working with like bigger companies, and nobody who's cutting you a check is
Hmm.
emotionally involved in this money at all. It's not coming from their bank. It's just their job to like their finance team. But it's working with like a what do you call it? Like a startup. That's where you got to worry about more like them nickel and diming and this and that, I feel like.
Yeah, I would say in 99% of all cases you're right. But do you know the
Mm-hmm.
mill incident? Have you heard about
The
what the do you know the mill? This big VFX house called the mill?
no,
They're
no,
quite
I
they're
don't. I
quite
maybe I've
huge.
heard of it, but
Yeah, they're quite huge. I think they've done quite a lot VFX stuff for different movies and stuff like that. And
okay.
they did it twice, that they hired a bunch of freelance artists and didn't pay them, and then they kind of went bankrupt. They officially went
Ooh.
bankrupt, and I think 2 or 3 months later they rehosted the mill. Like they just opened it again with another CEO, with another owner, and stuff like that. And they already did this twice. There was quite a huge shitstorm and so on social media. I can send it to you after the interview, which
Yeah,
was
and they never
hilarious.
paid them out.
As far as I know, I mean, I don't know what's the latest point here, but as far as I know, they didn't pay them out, and legally they don't need to because they officially went bankrupt. You know.
Oh
Um.
wow, that's a
So
crazy business model. Just going
yeah,
bankrupt every project.
yeah. I think they're not doing it
Wow.
every project, but after a couple of years, they kind of it's super weird. But yeah, they're pretty common for or pretty well known for this
I
kind
think
of business model. Yeah, and they're quite huge and quite well known. Um, but anyways, I think in 99% you're right. It's usually those startups and those
right.
kind of small studios. You have never heard of them
Yeah.
and so on. Um,
Wow.
so let's maybe jump into some ZBrush stuff because I'm quite interested about your opinion. Like I just lately saw that Maxon just changed the UI in ZBrush, at least for the tablet. And they also have this new UI for the desktop standalone version, but only for kind of new users, I guess. What's your
Right.
opinion about this new UI?
I think it's I'm trying to think because I did use the iPad version a bit when I was helping them with that. And I did a collab with them right when the app came out, and I included some brushes, some IMM brushes that's both in the standalone and in the iPad app. I think it's fun. I think what people get wrong about ZBrush, and I literally just made a reel about this,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's a difference between a UI that's kind of hard to learn at first versus a bad UI. I think it's a phenomenal UI for what it is. Once you learn it, there's a no faster program you can get around in than ZBrush. Like that is my very firm opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with any program that has like an infinite amount of capabilities and menus and options, it's gonna feel daunting. Um, so I guess if you want to make a UI that helps like the newer users, that helps bridge that gap, but also gives the legacy people the ability to kind of free flow the way they learned, I think that's a fine mix.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just remember I was using ZBrush, I think, once or twice, and I had this classical kind of bug. I think I was on the wrong layer, not on editable, but on object mode, and I was just spamming out the object whenever I touched the screen with my pen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
always like scaling a new object every time I. But anyways, I think
oh, yes.
it's a classical
The
beginner error.
2.5D mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
somehow ended up being in this mode and was super confused. Like, why can't I sculpt anymore? And just was spamming out the same object over and over again.
I forgot. So do you use ZBrush or are you saying you don't use it that often?
I don't use it that often. I used it once or twice in my entire
Okay.
career. I just played around for a quick
Got it.
time. I'm like
Yeah.
usually a Houdini user, and I'm like doing all the simulation stuff. And I was also starting with Cinema 4D, just like you, I think. But then I
Mm.
quickly
Yeah, yeah.
just switched over to Houdini because I don't know, Cinema 4D is quite limiting. I don't know about it nowadays, but back in the days it was quite limiting.
I mean,
Yeah.
I tell people now, even when things are like objectively easier to make in cinema, I will make it in ZBrush just because I'm that familiar with it. But you're right.
Hmm.
I think ZBrush does have a lot of things that you have to like, if you have to learn the ropes at the very beginning, like even down to revolving around a sphere, you're like holding down Alt, like to zoom in, you
Yeah,
hold down
yeah,
Alt
yeah.
and then move your thing and then let go of Alt to zoom in. And then like I think what scares people a lot and messes people up is not understanding that there's no default Control Z. Every subtool has its own history, which I think is a plus.
Hmm.
You just have to understand how it works a little bit. It's really confusing at the beginning for like the first day, but like think of any project, you're kind of limited to just Control Zing the very last step you did.
Hmm.
But every single object in ZBrush that you have, let's say you have like a folder and you have like a sphere, cube, this, that, and you've worked on all of them separately, they all have their own history levels that you can like change and go back and forth with. So it's just like a way more like robust kind of system to like go back if you need it.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of things, man, that it's such a unique program.
I think it's pretty cool. It also reminds me a little bit of the node tree that you have in Houdini. Like you can always jump nodes
Mm,
upstream, and you kind of can change something, and that sounds a little bit like that, having all the kind of history on sculpting.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
dude, ZBrush with nodes would be crazy. I do. I love my nodes. You can see some here.
yeah, this is Octane, right? I can see it straight
Yep.
away. And you're
This
using
is Cinema
Octane quite.
Octane.
Are you like rendering your pieces still in Cinema with Octane, or
Yep.
okay? So you're
Yep.
exporting like kind of the OBJs, and then you're from ZBrush into Cinema, and then you're rendering in Cinema. Okay.
Yeah, I'm exporting the FBXs, saving the polygroups as selection sets that I can texture separately if I need
Hmm.
to in Cinema 4D.
Okay. Awesome. Um, I think when I started with Houdini, I was also using this kind of workflow, like exporting everything to Cinema 4D and rendering there. Is there not
Mhm.
a way to use Octane within ZBrush directly? Or
No, I don't think so. I mean, the
okay.
closest thing is since Maxon has acquired Redshift is
Hmm.
technically in ZBrush, but
Okay.
just because I'm already used to my pipeline, like there was no reason why I
Yeah.
had to try to do anything directly into ZBrush. But ZBrush will always just be, in my opinion, a robust sculpting platform
Fair
with
enough.
the
Yeah.
bells and whistles on the sides.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so I have another hot topic I would like to speak with you about, and I think it's very well known. It's like the AI stuff, and I would like to hear your
Mm.
general opinion about AI. Do you think it will change the industry, or do you even think it will maybe destroy the industry like we know it today? Like we know the industry today, yeah.
I would like to think I have all the answers, but everything's changing. Not every year, not every month, even. I feel like every week.
Yeah.
So I think it
Yeah.
already has changed a lot of things. I think the question is, like, where does this plateau, and if it's a bubble or if this and that. Like, I can tell you, like, from my client experiences, people have started using AI in like their mock-ups, which
Hmm.
at least to a point helps me. Like, if I'm looking at like a cartoon illustration versus a much more detailed but not quite there illustration of what I need to make, in
Hmm.
that case it helps me. But I just think it gets dangerous when you start looking at, if it gets to the point where the every client just says, "Oh, we can just do the whole thing," and then we can generate everything. And yeah, and then there's questions about like the obviously you have the ethics of like the water use and the ethics of just pushing artists out of, not even just artists, just any kind of person who's doing any sort of like intro, intermediate, or like high level white collar job. Like we're dealing with something that's like very, I don't know, it kind of feels like we let the genie out of the bottle without really understanding what we're working with and the
Hmm.
power that it really holds. And I'm even talking about more than just on an artist level. Like, I am not a big fan of like people just making deep fakes of everyone. Um, and then again, another reel I just made something about. Like, I really think this stuff should be considered deep fakes. Like, anytime we heard that, we were like, "Ooh, that's sketchy. That's pretty bad." But like,
Hmm.
apparently, it's cool to make Martin Luther King look like he said something really weird and funny. Like, I just thought it was really weird, and I don't see why that kind of technology should be like accessible to like some random deranged 13-year-old who's trying to like
Yeah.
make it look like a political figure said something really crazy. Like, I don't really see, I guess you can make it seen as like kind of funny for a second, but I think long term it's just really muddying the water with like photos and videos are no longer the burden of proof. Like, we're past the
Exactly.
point of history to where like seeing something, uh unless it was printed before like what, 2021 or whenever this technology started coming out, is like we just can't trust that kind of stuff anymore. And I guess we got to deal with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So fun fact, my girlfriend is a lawyer, and I was speaking with her about how do you gonna judge like in court like evidence, because like if you can fake everything, like basically video footage, photos or anything with AI, you probably cannot judge anything in court, right? It's gonna be super
Hmm.
hard for judges, I think. But
Yeah.
but you know what really shocked me within all this 3D bubble stuff is like recently I saw on LinkedIn that people are not only creating art pieces with AI, but they also gonna fake the making of. Like they're gonna fake, for example, an interface of ZBrush with AI, and then they're gonna
Oh, I
present.
saw this, bro.
Yeah, and they're gonna present it to the audience like, I'm a 3D artist, I sculpted this and that, and here you can see the proof. It's like some AI generated ZBrush interface, and you can see it clearly by the topology lines are not matching and stuff like that. But like for us, we
Yeah.
can expose them and we can see it. But I think like for 99% of all people, or even for clients, they kind of believe it, I guess. They
I
see
think
the
I saw
stuff.
one of those on Instagram. I think I saw you comment on one. It's like the clown emoji. Was that you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Dude, I
The-
saw that and I got so pissed. I was like, bro, it's one thing to like, if you want to like experiment with this kind of stuff and, see what kind of workflows you can, that's different than like being like, no, I'm just a full on 3D artist and like clowning people, like, and producing a wireframe next to the the generated image where like if you zoom in, yeah, like the topology in the wireframe doesn't even match up. So
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
just I definitely disagree with that. That's bad. But and I knew friends that shared that post too that thought it was real and like good, and I'm like, bro.
Yeah, it's really hard to see it nowadays. I think one of the guys, I mean, I don't want to expose it, but he was also doing food quite a lot. Uh, Jao Ramos, maybe we can find a quick post or something, but yeah, maybe I send it to you later, but it was so funny. Like he was like faking even the making offs and stuff like that. And I was like,
Wait,
so
is this like a
embarrassing.
known guy?
I
This guy just
think,
commented.
yeah, I think someone commented. I think he gets really well known because of this incident. It went kind of viral
Wow.
because every 3D artist was like, what the fuck? You're not only faking the final output, the final outcome with AI, but you're also faking like this kind of 3D view and this kind of making off. And it also gets harder for us. Like, I don't know if you have this kind of problem, but sometimes when I post stuff on Instagram, people that are not my followers comment like that's AI slop or that's probably done with AI, and then
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
have this
Well,
kind of this problem,
yeah,
but
that's kind of why I think it happened like coincidentally at the same time, but
mhm.
again, just goes to show why like my reels, like half of my reel is me making the actual thing to show
Yeah,
people I'm
fair
actually
enough.
making something in a world where everyone is just having less and less skill.
Yeah,
So I think it does two things. It's more engaging, but it also shows like, yes, I'm making this stuff. Um, and so yeah, it just sucks that we have to do that now. That like,
yeah,
because you're right, it's discrediting people that are actually doing something good, and they're like, oh, this looks like AI. It's like, well, AI is
yeah,
trained by real shit, so of course it's gonna, at some point resemble.
yeah. And I think it gets even worse, like if they even fake the making of videos, if they even prompt like, "Hey, create me a making of video where I'm like sculpting stuff or anything." But yeah,
Yeah.
fortunately, it's not there yet. But I mean, those
Yeah.
screenshots looked quite good. If you don't take a close look, and actually,
Yeah.
I sent those also to some friends of mine that are also 3D artists, and they were like, "Wait, is this 3D art or is this actually some kind of AI fake?" But yeah,
I mean, I knew I just maybe mainly because I do a lot of food stuff. I knew very quickly by looking at the wireframe, even before I zoomed in and saw they weren't connected, the wireframe they chose to use like were way too low poly to have that kind of displacement, even baked into the
yeah,
texture and stuff. It was just not, wasn't even close.
yeah, exactly. Um, so the next question is a little bit tricky, and I always like to ask this artists because like there is a reason why we're not using those AI tools, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like asking myself, like for me, I also like to craft stuff and I like the process, but what do you think is missing in AI right now in order to leave 3D behind? Like, what do you think is like missing that clients dodge us completely? Because like right now there's a market for us, right? There's still hope. Let's call it like that.
I don't know if I want to answer that. Then they're gonna like develop it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
No, but honestly, I guess being able to trust someone, because if I'm a client, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a business owner and I'm like, I want these really good renderings for my brand, I'm gonna hire a 3D artist, not just because like he can use the software, but because he's worked with many other clients and knows exactly what's gonna work, what people are happy with. There's way less
Mm-hmm.
questions you have to like know the answer to. With the AI stuff, you're now like manning the ship. You gotta like, it'll generate something, but you're like, does that look good? Is there something off about this? And
Mm-hmm.
like that's something that you may not even know. Like a client doesn't know a lot of times what a specular highlight is or like what a lot of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is. So even though they can press generate and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, like
Mm-hmm.
they're not trained, they're not in the business of being trained enough on whether this is good. They're used to hiring people for that stuff and being like, okay, I like this, maybe not this. But their job was never to be like the person trying to make everything in the first place.
Yeah, fair enough. So it's also like art direction, right? And you think like artists that have been working for several years in that field, like have the better
Mm-hmm.
eye and the better understanding what looks good. I also feel like there
Yeah.
is some problems with consistency and art directability right now. I mean, like you're prompting stuff and it just gives you a random RNG kind of image and you kind of don't have any control over it. And then you can roll the
Yeah.
dice for another time and you can roll the dice as often as you want. And maybe you end up having something that looks good, but maybe not, right? And you
I
have
think my
more
bigger
control.
fear is over time and like the generations that come,
Mm-hmm.
we're just gonna have a lower level of tolerance for this stuff, or a higher level of tolerance for slop, and like, well, it's not
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but it's fine enough, it's good enough. Kind of the same way that, like, before social media and vertical videos, everything needed to be cinematic and like
Mm-hmm.
really professional sounding and really this. And then the status quo became like, hey guys, what's going on? Filming on your iPhone, and like the audio is
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like your phone audio, and that's seen as like professional viral video nowadays. So in that level, quality levels have gone down like on
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And I'm hoping that's not the same thing with this, where like, well, yeah, it's just generated. That just is what it is. This is like, we live in a world where like you don't need to care about this being perfect anymore, or this being really good.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit on the Super Bowl commercial from Kanye West, where he just recorded himself and said, "Hey, I spent all the money for the Super Bowl commercial, so I don't have any money for a professional video. I just wanted to let you know that I have new products on Jeezy.com
Nah,
or
literally,
something." Yeah,
100%.
yeah, it was
Like, I spent all
crazy.
my credits, my AI credits.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I feel like there's a weird trend right now with big companies like, for example, Coca-Cola or even Gucci, the luxury brand. They created some
Yeah.
kind of AI stuff. I don't know if you've seen it from Gucci.
Oh, like the full ads.
They created some kind of images. They did a GTA 6 collaboration with Gucci stuff, and they posted it on Instagram. Just an AI generated image, probably with Midjourney or something.
Okay.
It's super weird, and I think the catch nowadays is not that they want to create a high level ad or something. It's more like doing some rage bait, rage baiting the audience.
Or like a
They're,
meme.
yeah, it's more like a meme or something that's shocking the audience. Like, what the fuck? They're using
Yeah.
AI for their brand, and how could they even? How dare they to use AI in their kind of no, I need to change my name. Gucci Flucci is saying
I
that in the
just saw that. That's
chat.
funny.
Yeah. But I think like this is a new technique. I think it's not about creating high level, good looking ads. It's more like shocking the audience to get more
Mhm.
insights and more traffic actually on your posts, because even like very big accounts with a lot of followers like commented under this post like, did your account got hacked, or what the fuck, you're using AI as a luxury brand, it's so unprofessional and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And those people probably would never have commented under a regular post from Gucci. um, Same
Yeah.
with Coca-Cola, where they did this Christmas commercial ad with AI. It's probably more like generating some traffic, even though it's bad traffic. In Germany, we used to say there is no bad commercial or no bad traffic for your brand. Everything that gets
Yeah,
attention
they
for your
say
brand. Yeah.
all what is it? All press is good press or something. Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
similar
something like
saying
that.
where,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but we'll see. I mean, Coca-Cola, it's like those companies, they're so big that they're like part of pop culture, so they're gonna kind of do
Hmm.
whatever they want
Fair
without
enough.
fear
Yeah.
of being like, people are gonna drink Coca-Cola no matter what. Um,
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
yeah, we'll see. My buddy, actually, my good friend, he works at Coca-Cola, and yeah, he was saying that people liked the AI ad and stuff. So I don't know.
Okay.
Obviously, he's probably got his own bias working at Coca-Cola. I mean,
Fair
but
enough. Yeah.
yeah, I never know. You never know. But
Yeah. I mean, I
I
mean,
think
also
the
like,
same thing with
yeah.
Pinterest.
Hmm.
I doom scroll Pinterest a lot looking for references. And I know you can turn off like the having AI content pop up, but obviously it's not going to get everything. You have to like tag the stuff as AI.
Hmm.
But I was talking to another buddy where, even though nobody seems to want to see AI slop on Pinterest for references, like I certainly don't. I feel like the main majority are not people that are like artists. They're like people like wedding planning or people that want interior decorating stuff, and they probably could care less about whether AI. They just like want to see cool stuff for references.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Fair enough. Also, like thinking, I mean, we are very well trained to kind of see this all the stuff, and we kind of, I mean, I would say in 95% we can like expose AI stuff. But like for my mom or for anyone that is like not in the 3D design field or something, it's really hard to figure out, is this now AI content or is this like 3D generated or any other stuff? So yeah.
Bad, man.
Yeah. Tough times. Anyways, I think like maybe the next question's gonna be a few quick ones and you just gonna answer with one word. Is that fine for you?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So regarding your sculpting, do you prefer hard surface or organic sculpting?
Organic.
Yeah, with food, obviously, probably organic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would need to pick one software for the rest of your life, would it be 3ds Max or Maya?
Probably Maya, because I don't know if I've used 3ds Max.
Okay.
I used Maya like twice in like a summer camp when I was in high school.
Okay, fair enough. If you could only use one brush in ZBrush for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Oh my god, probably the Move topological brush.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because you can not only do you know that brush, by the way?
No, not
Okay,
really.
so a new Move topological, it's like a move brush where you can like, you're like bending in the shape, you're like taking it and moving the shape. But if you take it to a scale of 0, you just move the shape without distorting any of it. You just move it around. So I just feel like it has more versatility. You can move it, but also form shapes with it.
So it's more like multiple brushes within one brush. Like you can use it in a very flexible way. Yeah.
Yeah. Based on the scale of it.
Okay, cool. So if you would need to choose one task, would it be retopo or rigging?
Whoa.
Both are shitty tasks.
Probably retopo, even though I barely do both. Does hitting ZBrush count?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Retopo.
You have a quick solution in ZBrush, right? Doing ZRemesh.
Mm-hmm.
That's like cheating.
And they just added their new retopo brush. It's like a brand new brush that like does a lot of the manual retopo pretty easily.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. So would you rather delete your Instagram account or lose all client relations and you start with a blank page?
Lose all client relations.
Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. Yeah. Would you choose work you personally love or work that pays well? Like if there is a studio that has not a lot of money, but you say that's a dope project, or at the same time there's like a big company that has like tons of money and
that's
throws
a tough one. There's so much missing information. It's like, do I starve if I pick like the project I like, and do I make food project? Is it a food project?
So
I get paid a lot for it.
So let's say both are food projects, but I cannot imagine, like, is there some kind of food project you would not like to work on? Is there something you really hate, like food you personally don't like? I don't know. Some people don't like fish, for example.
Probably something like with a lot of bread. Like bread is really hard. So if it was just like a whole thing wrapped around like bread, maybe. Not that it can't be done, but that would be a very bitchy project. Probably okay. So if I do the project I like, do I like starve and I just don't get paid ever again, or like?
Good question. I think like in your current situation, like right now, if two projects pop up, one project you love working on, and it's like maybe, I don't know, some chocolate sweets or something. I see you do a lot of sweets. And the other one is bread, only bread.
Is it? So it's like I never get to do a project again, or it's just like for today?
Let's say for one project. Like one project.
Oh, I take the paying project then.
Yeah,
I make dailies every day.
Yeah, probably I would choose the same.
There's so many loopholes in this question.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't actually think too much about this question. I need to rewrite this question. That's a good point. I need to make more
Yeah.
thoughts about it.
No, all good.
So let's jump on some work-life balance stuff, because
Okay.
not only you are the most, like, the one of the best food artists, I would say, but you're also very active on social media. And I sometimes like wonder, I also struggle with that myself, like, how do you manage to do so much work while being so active on social media? It's like a, I don't know, 12 hours per day job or something, everything together,
Yeah,
or even more.
I think it's mainly the idea that I just like don't have a life because I'm like constantly grinding is kind of a myth. Because I mean, think about it. Anytime someone sees Instagram post, it's like me working and I'm doing all this. So it looks like I'm always working, but the answer is really just optimizing my time. Like to make all the Instagram posts, um, I have shortcuts. Like even the way I'm filming myself, I can like really easily go from here to this camera and back. So like instead, back when I used to make reels, I had to like set up
Mm-hmm.
a whole camera, take the memory card out, everything's set up and like live. What do you call it? Like right off the bat. And so like this camera's always on, whether it's recording or not, it's always on. That one's always on. I press record on like this Stream Deck, and then that goes to my
Mm-hmm.
NAS, and I just like, it sends to my phone. I can edit it on CapCut. Um, so the reels, that's why I'm able to like spend, 30 to 45 minutes in ZBrush to make a full piece, and then do like 10, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in Cinema with the texturing. And that's where I cut corners. I start with like presets that I've made, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
cake, egg, ice cream, bread, you have it. Um, and so a daily might take me an hour, hour and a half, and then the reel, because I just have all the camera angles down that I want, and I can like record myself really fast, only take about like 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So we're talking about an hour or two max for my Instagram posts, and
Mm-hmm.
then gives me enough time to hit the gym, play tennis, eat, do what I got to do, working from home. And then I usually, when I have like, I'm working on client work, it's like maybe I'll work on it for like an hour, hour and a half a
Okay.
day. So I think we're actively working on 3D for like 3.5 hours a day max. So
Wow. Okay.
it's not like I'm like all day every day slammed doing stuff, because I work fast. So it's more of like an image that I'm always grinding all the time. So it's less of that I'm just this powerhouse that is like robotic that doesn't have to sleep or anything, and more I'm very good at like making it look like I'm like always active, or I've gotten very good at not just like making the food renders, but also very good at like showing the process of it. And I think that also goes to like getting client work and
Mm-hmm.
having different relationships with different artists and this and that.
So you're just being very efficient with your stuff by setting up all these
Yeah.
shortcuts and presets and
And
materials
part of
and
it
stuff.
is the film background. Yeah, part of
Mm-hmm.
it's the film
Yeah,
background.
fair
Like if I didn't
enough.
have all this, the stuff wouldn't look as clean. I wouldn't have these angles, wouldn't have the cameras that I have maybe. Uh and so they all kind of play a part.
But by the way, speaking about cameras, we had a question in the chat from Ika, and he's asking, like,
Yeah.
which camera do you use right now for the recording, because he thinks it looks really beautiful, and I can agree. Kind of looks a
Oh,
little
thank
bit
you.
like a fisheye or something, or some very low focal length.
Yeah, it's a
eh,
10 millimeter. So
mhm,
both this camera and this camera
mhm.
is the Sony ZV-E10.
Oh,
And
nice.
I think there's two versions. It's the first version that came out. So they're just very small, lightweight. They shoot 4K, and I shoot these actually in log and then bring them into. This is routing through OBS where I throw like a LUT on them. I'll
Mhm.
actually show you if I go to
Nice.
uh, OBS and I go. I'll just show you what it looks like when I deactivate all these filters.
Mhm.
Take the color off and the LUT. This is kind of what's coming straight from the camera, which it's
Oh,
not
okay.
too different, but it definitely makes it a little bit less moody.
I think it,
Um,
yeah, it looks more cinematic actually with those LUTs. Or
yeah, so just like subtle things like that. And then yeah, I'm able to just like I literally run it through so I can turn it off, turn it on, record here, and this is how I record to my phone as well.
Yeah,
or
that's
my
so
NAS.
smart. That's so smart. I need to set up those presets as well for myself.
Man.
So Ika is also asking, do you have also another lens or factory for those cameras, I guess, because you're saying those are having 10 millimeters?
So this one is okay. So this one I'm actually using a Canon lens. So I have a Metabones adapter. It's an adapter that allows me to go from the Sony mount to the, I guess is it E mount or EF mount, whatever the Canon lenses are. So it's a 10 to 22 millimeter. So I can literally take this and go zoom it in
Oh,
or zoom it
nice.
out. And you can see whatever you're looking at here, this little thing is the teleprompter. So this is actually, if I need to read from like a script or stuff for like Instagram or different things when I'm talking, I have that. That's kind of what that matte box looking thing is.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I thought you're
yeah.
freestyling, like, but that's really
So many,
interesting.
I would say it's 50-50. If it's
Mm-hmm.
something where I have like a long thing or like
Mm-hmm.
a sponsored thing, sometimes it's easier so I don't have to just like guess and then do a bunch of editing. Um, but yeah, many of them I am like today's was freestyling. The
Mm-hmm.
one a couple days ago was freestyling. If it's really long, sometimes it's nice to like write some notes out on the thing. But yeah, if you make a lot of content, it just helps to have something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So back to the work-life balance stuff. Is there like, I mean, I've spoken to so many artists in the industry, and also like being at the off in Barcelona, I spoke to so many people. And it kind of was a little bit sad to hear that a lot of people actually in our industry are struggling with burnout, right? I mean,
Mm.
um, and do you have like a good work-life tip or some kind of advice you would give to people in order to prevent to burn out? I mean, obviously, I think you said that you like working in total 3 hours per day on 3D stuff within your client work and everything, which is super nice. On my side, it's not looking like that. My regular day is usually 8 hours client work, sometimes even more when the deadline is tight, and then on top all the social media stuff and so on. So you really mastered that and optimized that. But yeah, what would be
Yeah, that
your
kind of goes
advice?
with the day rate thing too. If you're on a day rate with a
Mm-hmm.
client, they expect you there for 8 hours. Like
Yeah,
they
true.
expect you, if I'm saying, hey, I'll get it done by, this week or whatever, they're not going to be like, hey, are you working right now? Are you working right now? Like they're not going to
Yeah.
be, those aren't the clients where I'm like slacking them all day, every day. It gives me the flexibility to be like, because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it so clear when I'm working, as long as it gets done based on like, if I tell them I'm going to show them something by Friday, it's like, I can do whatever I want as long as I get it done. Um, but other ways to not get burned out, I tell people since I work from home,
Mm-hmm.
I instead of just getting out of bed and like going to my office, I make it a point to get my coffee or my cold brew rather downstairs, go to the local coffee spot, physically buy a coffee. I mean, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do this, especially if you're tight on money, but like get your coffee. And then by the time I've gotten back up to my place, I got a little bit of a coffee buzz. When I open my door, I feel like I'm like entering the office space. Like there's a break in whether
Yeah.
I'm in my bedroom space to like this place. I also wear my shoes in the office too. It kind of makes me feel like I'm what do you call it? I'm a bad Asian. My mom does not like that I wear shoes in the house, but it makes me feel like I'm actually working in an office. Like if I have my socks
Yeah.
on, I'm like I'm chilling. This doesn't feel like I'm like in the office. So that helps. Um, and like yeah, for social media, switching it up. That's why I do like different types of series. That's why I like combine food with like
Mm-hmm.
mechanical objects sometimes. Sometimes I do cross collabs with different brands. Sometimes I'm just making like a fancy dish. Sometimes just keeping it fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so totally different. And I think I've learned also a lot like wearing your shoes or kind of doing this little break in between is super nice because I don't know, I had a lot days where I just went straight up from bed into my office and I was sitting there in my boxer shorts and I was like working for hours and hours and it kind of like it blends in between your private life and your work life. It kind of,
Yeah.
that the line between those two sectors like get washed out. It's like kind of washed
Yeah.
out and it blends together everything. So that's a really good advice actually. So yeah,
Even just having your own space. Like the place I was at
mhm,
before this, before I had this room, like I moved into this place for this room because I
mhm,
knew I needed an extra space. I used to work before this, I was working like in my main room where there was like a TV and there was
mhm,
a couch and then also my kitchen in the same room and also, like most one bedroom apartments.
yeah,
And then I was like, I feel like I'm doing everything in this room. I'm cooking in this room. I'm like watching TV in
mhm,
this room. I'm like working in this room. And then before that, it was like in my bedroom, like way before that. Like a lot of people. So it's which even is less separation from your, bed space. So having a dedicated room that's like when I'm here, I'm like the man. I'm like the guy that's making stuff. I'm this room. This reason this room exists is because I've made a lot of cool artwork and like worked with
yeah,
clients and just like pumps you up a little bit. Like, you know.
exactly. Yeah, I had the same problem. Like before this flat here, I had my setup in the bedroom, and it was horrible also sleeping in that room when your stuff is rendering at night. The machines are
Oh my
the
god, I didn't
fa-
even think of that. Yeah.
yeah, the fans are rising up, and it's like having a airplane engine in your room, and you need to sleep next to your
Oh, that's
airplane
wild.
engine. But yeah, those
Yeah,
were
that's
wild times. Yeah.
that's also one of the nice things about only working on static works and not animating. I don't have
Hmm.
to like do the long render farm stuff.
Yeah, that's really good because like with all these animations, you're kind of sometimes render so long. I mean, especially if you have like subsurface scattering and translucencies going on, and I don't know.
Cool
Sometimes a frame
clouds.
takes like 10 minutes, and then it's rendering the entire night and even longer. That's really really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing only stills? You're not never doing any animation run? That's dope.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
just static stuff. I thought like most of my career I was like, well, the next thing I got to learn is animation. And like I know how to animate to a degree if it's like MoGraph stuff, but I got to a point where I was like, well, I guess I'm like making a living not animating, so why do I need to add something to my, you know, feature list that is going to have me waiting on render times all the time, focusing on so much more stuff, um, when I can just charge for like static renders and it's like way less physically demanding work, but also just less waiting around all the time, and I can use my computer.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I like the idea of like focusing on one frame, making it look perfect. And if you have
Yeah.
some stuff on the back, or if there's something that's not great on every angle, who cares? But this
Yeah.
frame, I get to spend all my time to make it look that much better.
I also feel like when stuff is moving, like clients have much huger or a bigger room to kind of pick stuff out and talk about the
Mhm.
movement and everything. Um, so yeah, there's probably less room for clients to like feedback you any bullshit. I would say.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so one last question, and then maybe we can hop into some, I don't know, some questions from you guys in the chat. So you can think about some questions right now if you want to. And you can
Cool.
also leave some questions right now. So the last question I have is like we spoke about some stuff that you had earlier in your days when you were like a filmmaker and you didn't got paid or anything. Is there some kind of advice you would give yourself, your younger self, like your 10 years younger self? Um,
Hmm. Dude, I don't know. I mean,
Pretty deep, right?
I think I would say just keep saying yes to different opportunities and keep doing um I mean really the only thing that I'm like I wish I would have done that differently is like maybe a client thing where like oh I feel like if I charged like a little bit differently I would have gotten the gig or this or that. But like I think everything kind of happened the right place. Like I stopped doing film at just the right time before like all the film strikes were happening and COVID happened. And
Hmm.
by the time everyone was down for COVID, I was used to working from home a lot. When people were struggling, like not being able to leave their crib, I'm like, this is my domain. I'm used to this stuff. Um, so I would just say keep meeting people, keep
Hmm.
trying new softwares, and don't get like comfortable. I think a lot of people get comfortable once they've quote unquote made it or they get into a
Hmm.
groove. But then, especially this day and age, man, like I feel like it's like the going from like a noob to like a vet. It
Hmm.
feels like it can take like 1 year at this point, and then like then there's someone else. Like it's not like, oh, you're a noob and then like 10 years later you're a medium and then 10 years, 20 years later you're a vet, and it's like this long brought out. Like if you're not like consistent the whole way and you're not keeping up with trends, you're not staying on top of social media, like I feel like it's easy to get left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I also feel like I personally am listening to a lot of rap and hip hop music from the US, and a lot of rappers say you need to stay hungry, right? Is that
Stay
some
hungry.
kind of, yeah, stay hungry.
Actually, I got this tattoo here with my
Yeah.
buddy from middle school. It's SHSH. Stay humble, stay hungry.
Oh,
It's
nice.
literally for that purpose. Yeah.
And I think this sentence also matches so nice within your content, right? Stay hungry, guys.
Oh yeah, the digital stuff. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just coming to my
Cheers.
mind. Yeah. So guys,
Mm-hmm.
do we have a few questions now from the chat? I think we can do a little open round. Um, I think Patrick and I would love to answer those questions, so feel free to type in anything that's on your mind. Like, for example, what is your favorite dish? Would you say mountain or beach? Or do you have a girlfriend? Are you still single, for the ladies? I don't
Or
know.
boyfriend.
Or boyfriend, yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. Speaking of, have you ever started craving something while working on it? That's a good question, yeah.
Actually, not really. I get that question almost the most, and I think it's because when I think of a render that I've done, it is, um, which by the way, I don't have a boyfriend. That was just I have a girlfriend. Um, I
I
think,
didn't want to go deeper into that because, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what she said. But the what do you call it? What was I saying? The food stuff. When I think
Yeah.
about the stuff I'm making, I just think about if I were to slice this delicious render in half, I would see like matte cap gray. Like I wouldn't even see like good food. It would just be like a 3D model inside of there. So I don't even see it. I see it as like this facade of a food that's not even real.
Okay, interesting, because like, okay, that's really interesting, because when I was working like on the spaghetti stuff I showed you, I actually I was craving a little bit spaghetti in that time.
That's fair.
I was like seeing spaghetti all the time, and I thought like, damn, spaghetti would be nice now. Or I
Yep.
was working on an ice cream job, and I don't know why. Probably it's like subconscious for me. I was like craving ice cream a bit more. I was like to my girlfriend, "Hey, we should buy some ice cream."
Maybe that's just a
um,
me thing then. Maybe I'm just like weird.
I don't think so. I think people are just different, right? Um,
Yeah.
okay, we have a little bit more questions here. Um, How do you know when a brownie or steak structure in ZBrush is right? How do you have feel that it's like it's there? Is it from
I don't know
observing
when I.
pictures or references or?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time I look at the sheen of something.
Mhm,
I look a lot into like I light my things far before I'm texturing. So like if I want the steak to glisten, like I'm almost placing the light purposely to get that shine on there, and then I'm dialing in the texture of the bump or roughness based on when I get that perfect amount. I think for something like a glistening steak, I'll have pretty much no roughness for the most part, and the shine comes from actually like a very subtle bump. Like the little
mhm,
glistening comes from like the bump. So, and then like I said before, messing with the IOR a bunch to get how much grease you want on that steak. Um, because like burgers and or brownies and steaks kind of look similar a little bit, but the brownie's gonna have a little bit more of a matte, rougher texture than like a steak. Like
mhm.
a brownie's not gonna be wet unless you literally undercook that thing like severely. But uh, yeah, I guess that I would just say keeping an eye on those kind of values because I think people mess up. I think people like think they understand the makeup of those kind of foods under the hood, like, oh, it'll probably be like decently rough and like have zero bump because brownie looks like very smooth. When in reality, it's kind of like the opposite sometimes.
Okay, interesting. That's really interesting. So
Mhm.
did you find that out on yourself by trying out different stuff or
Oh yeah.
okay.
Any food related thing I've ever done, I've pretty much figured out or I've had to figure out
Yeah.
on my own. Same with the ZBrush stuff, how to make a lot of things in ZBrush. Like when I started streaming for ZBrush Live, which I try to do once a month,
Hmm.
um, the guys that run ZBrush, they're like, yeah, we like really haven't seen a lot of people do like food
Hmm.
in ZBrush. Like you think of ZBrush, you think of like character anatomy, like video game assets,
Yeah.
movie assets, like armor, like hard surface, like people weren't, I mean, people have probably done food in it, but it wasn't like, oh, that's like the hero shot of the whole piece is the food that
Hmm.
we're making in this thing. So for a lot of kind of like what you're saying about like the look dev and you saw like my work in there, a lot of times like some of the only like food learning content, at least when I started doing it, was the stuff I was releasing on the ZBrush live streams.
Cool, cool, yeah. That makes sense. Like I thinking about it, I also don't know anybody else using ZBrush to make food stuff. Like I also just know a few other studios that do food in general. Like it's super hard to do this stuff in CG. And I think even nowadays a lot food stuff is being filmed in on set, you know. Um
Yeah.
at least what I see, because it's maybe easier to fake stuff there, or at least in motion. But yeah, I think
I
you
tell
must have
clients
just
like there's definitely a more like there are times where I'm like, no, it's just more practical for you to shoot this in house
Mhm.
instead of doing it in 3D. I think where 3D shines are like the small things that are really for the factory to get them perfect. Like I do stuff for Pop Tarts a decent bit, and like those things, they're very small, and to get like a cakey like texture product that doesn't have like smudges on it or that perfect piece or like ice
Mhm.
cream where like you handle it wrong, it's going to smudge or melt the chocolate right away.
Yeah.
It can be easier to manipulate that stuff when you just have the stuff and you don't got to worry about reshoots or anything like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So another question is there any software you still want to learn, or are you perfectly in the spot where you are right now? Um
Hmm. I mean,
Houdini,
honestly, for
right?
the fast,
Houdini. Houdini,
did you
right?
see that reel I made that one time where I downloaded Houdini and then it exploded in my house?
I think I'm not sure. I think
That's
I
a really
haven't.
funny one. I have to find that at
Yeah.
some point. But
Yeah, you need to send it to us.
um, no, I think honestly, I would like to say that I'm pretty set and happy with kind of like
Mhm.
the pipeline I got going. Now if I had to learn a new one, uh, maybe maybe a little bit more of After Effects, maybe.
I, fair enough. I thought for a second you're gonna say maybe a little bit more of AI. I was like, God, no.
Nah, yeah, I mean it's if I have to learn that kind of stuff, it's definitely not because I want to learn it, but
Yeah, fair enough. You need
yeah,
to go with the time and you need to go with flow, right? So if
who
that's,
knows?
yeah, who knows? If that's the new thing, we probably also need to adapt. Everyone needs to, probably.
I mean, I also think it's important if we genuinely disagree with the like what that technology is doing, I do think it's
Hmm.
important to voice it. I haven't made like an straight up anti AI video at least yet, but I do think a big part of like even clients hiring people for AI in this is
Hmm.
knowing what artists and everyone think about it. And if we're silent, they're gonna be like, oh, they don't mind it, they like it. Like, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to tackle that. I haven't been like all out, and I also have friends that are like, some of them are pioneering that space, like that AI space. So I also like, I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't want to burn bridges with friends I've made, but I also don't want to like totally sell out
Yeah, fair
at the same
enough.
time. So it's a very tricky subject.
Yeah, it's a very thin line between those two things, and I can understand that. But no worries. I think there are a lot of people like hating on AI stuff. I just saw recently that Nvidia released these DLSS 5
Oh my
technology where
God,
they
yeah.
scale up games, video games, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's an AI slop filter on every character, and everyone is hating on that. So no worries. You don't need to do that job. There are other people that are doing this job for us.
It looks like it's like you take professional wedding photos and throw like a Instagram filter and throw it through Facebook
Yeah.
after. It's like you just like destroyed the photographer's work.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, but luckily it's a feature you don't have to use necessarily.
Yeah. So another question was, Felix was writing, I don't know if this has been talked about, but what kind of clients does he have? Big brands for packaging, print, especially paying enough for making a living.
Yeah,
So,
I mean food brands. So everything from like McDonald's, Pop Tarts, Raising Cane's, Capello's, which is like a pizza brand, Chief Lace potato chips. Trying to think. I feel like I remember like the past three, and then after that I just like lose my brain. I've done
all
some like
good.
Beyond Beef, I think it was the brand called. It was one of the meatless products. Um,
Beyond Meat, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind Bar.
So it's mostly like direct clients, right? It's not having a studio in between them. Or is it?
I'd say it's 50-50. Oh,
Okay.
Candy Crush was one of them. Yeah, that was a fun one because that was more like a game related kind of thing, but still food technically. It's candy. But
Okay.
yeah, I would say it's like 50-50, give or take.
Do you usually charge direct clients a bit more? Because I feel like everyone does it in the industry.
Not necessarily actually. I think
Okay.
the only time I would charge the agency less is, and I hate when this happens, but when they're like, "Hey, we're already like halfway through a project,
Mm-hmm.
everything's set. How much would you do this for?" And if it's something I'm like, "Yeah, it's easy. I could do this." Like I might take the project for maybe a little bit less, but most of the time the agency hits me up before they even got the project locked, so I can give my full rate, and then
Mm-hmm.
they just pass it off to the client because they don't care what I'm charging really. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we have another question that is, how does he get inspired? Then there's like nature, music. If music, what kind of music does he listen to?
Music, huge
Yeah.
music guy.
Oh, nice.
And honestly, I if it doesn't have lyrics, I'm about it. I'm a huge lo-fi guy, classical lo-fi. Um, it's that's what I'm listening to all the time. It's so funny because I have Spotify and there's a thing called Discover Weekly. So every
Mm-hmm.
week I'll get 30 new
Yeah.
songs, and like all of it at this point for like the past year, like 3 years, have just been new lo-fi music, new things with no. It probably sounds so different than most people's, where it's like Drake or like Future or like this or, but yeah, just I think it just allows me to like talk to people on Discord more. I can focus easier when I just have like a nice classical or lo-fi thing. And I also just listen to it in general if I'm driving or whatever. The rap and all that stuff is more when I'm driving too.
Fair enough. Are you also listening to techno? Because I'm from Germany, and here in Germany, where I mean, at least in Berlin and
Techno.
stuff like that, they everyone loves techno. Personally,
Depends what
I'm
kind of techno we're talking
yeah.
about.
I mean, in Germany, they're like the really hard ones, like the doots, 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 you know, this kind of stuff. But
Actually, now that I think about it, Germany, that's like, are you close to like Bad Homburg?
um, I mean, I'm located more in the south, like close to Munich. So Berlin and Hamburg is like more in the north. So yeah, that's
Do you know why I ask about Hamburg?
no why.
That's that's Maxon headquarters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
So
I
that's
know that
Maxon,
they.
and also isn't Blender located in Germany too?
I don't know. I know that Maxon is located in Germany, but I didn't know they're located in Hamburg. Actually, I've
Yeah.
been there a
Or
couple of times.
is there a difference between Hamburg and Bad Hamburg? It's BAD Hamburg. I don't know if that's.
What do you mean? Like if there's two different Hamburgs, or what do you?
I just didn't know because I've heard of Hamburg, but then anytime I see Maxon or I see them where they're HQ, it says Bad Hamburg. So I didn't know if that's a separate city or if that's just Hamburg.
Ah, but Hamburg. I don't know. Is there some kind of stuff? I've never heard of that actually. Maybe we can look it up. Crazy.
I like the way you said that too, though. So you got the accent.
Yeah, Bad Hamburg.
Do you know
Uh,
the Wunderwaffe?
is the Wonder Waffle? Bad Homburg.
Wunderwaffe?
Oh, it's a different one. It's like Bad Homburg. That's like not Hamburg. That's not
Oh
the big
yeah.
city. Let's check this out. I don't know where it is. It's
Oh
probably quite a small town. Let's check that out
wow.
where it is. Oh, it's here. It's actually close to Frankfurt. Like if you see my stream right now, I don't know, I'm not sharing my
Yeah.
screen, but like
I'm looking
okay,
like 10 seconds behind on here.
yeah, fair enough. There's a little bit of delay. So Hamburg is like up here in the north, right? It's close to the shore or close to the North Sea.
Yeah.
And I'm located down here, close to Munich. And actually the headquarters from Maxon is close to Frankfurt. Frankfurt am Main, which is here in the middle of Germany.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't know
Interesting.
that on my own. Really interesting.
So how far of a drive for you would that be?
To the headquarters? We can actually check
Yeah.
that out.
I mean, you don't gotta dox yourself, but yeah.
Yeah. I need to do that on the other side. Let's say we take Munich. It says like 4.5 hours drive.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
with
like
the
me going
car.
to like North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, I think the US is so much bigger than Germany. Germany's like super
Yeah.
small compared to the
Right.
US. Um, yeah, anyways, do we have another question here? I think we're coming to the end.
Sure.
So there wasn't a question. Do you have any interest in making food in real life or just digital and eat basic noodles in real life? Like, I think the question is more like, do you enjoy cooking fancy stuff or something?
Oop, I think you just broke up for a second.
Oh, am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. Did you get the question or should I reread it?
I think so. Like, do I cook in real life or
Yeah, do you enjoy
um
cooking? Like, do you cook some fancy
oh,
stuff or
do I
is
have an
it?
interest in making food in real life? Yeah, I don't mind it. I like it every once in a while if I can cook for like a family or friends or whatever, but most of the time I don't think it's worth it to cook for just myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely more of a cook in 3D than I am in IRL.
Mm-hmm.
I even do like the meal preps. Like I've been paying this like this woman that like delivers me like 6 meals every week that I can like pop in so I can after my streams I can just like cook it and it's pretty easy and they're like home cooked meals so they're nice. But no, I'm not as much of a chef in real life by any
Fair enough.
means.
I think you're a very pragmatic and efficient guy. Like also with your streams and
Yeah.
like changing stuff real quick and having presets and also with cooking, having these meal
I'm
preps.
like, yeah, I just eat 3 pills a day. That's all I eat. Got all the
wait,
nutrients.
wait, there is this guy in the US. How is he called? Like with this longevity mix. I always get ads from him.
Oh, I
He's
know
like
it. Yeah.
he's like
Yes. I
taking
forgot.
20 pills per day or something and he tries to get the oldest person on earth. Like he wants to
He drinks like a shot of olive oil a
yeah,
day
yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff's kind of funny to me. I'm like, bro, like if he's helping science and medical stuff
Hmm.
for people, that's great. But like, I'm like, dude, your life is a checklist to.
Yeah,
I feel like you would not feel like you can just relax. It's always just like this constant, you know. But maybe he's used to
exactly.
it. Yeah, Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson, yeah. Thanks, Plugin 3D.
Yeah.
So I think one last question, and then we're not gonna bother or annoy you anymore. So, question for Patrick and Max. What is an important tip you would give to an artist starting freelance work? I've worked in a studio for the better part of 3 years and got comfortable in the routine. Unsure how to throw myself out there. Like, do you have any specific trick to start with freelancing?
Yeah, I would say uh and honestly the closest thing I can compare this to is to when I stopped doing school because I had a routine
Mhm.
and then I went straight to client work freelance And I guess it started while I was at school, but I never had like a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember vividly feeling like I'm just wasting so much time, and I'm like, just like, especially when you're not booked 24/7 early on,
Yeah.
you're just like, what do I do with my life? So understanding that you just have to be comfortable with having a lot of time on your hands, being able to use that time, um, doing things like working out, or I play tennis a lot, or things that keep your life interesting. Instead of ordering your groceries, go get your groceries, like go outside, having a social life, and also with money, being comfortable if you get like 2 jobs 1 month, and then like for 2 months after you get 0 jobs,
Yeah.
like like that is part of the thing. Like I remember kind of being a little bit scared, but sometimes even in my situation, there will be months where I'm like, damn, I really didn't get much going on.
Mm-hmm.
And these days in general, the projects that I'm on, I used to do kind of like balance, maybe between 2 and 4 projects at once, and but they're like small to
Wow.
medium size, and I'm like passing
Mm-hmm.
it off. These days I'm doing maybe 1 or 2 projects at once, but they're much bigger and last for longer. So again, it allows me to get comfortable and like do more social media stuff, not have
Mm-hmm.
to be like bouncing from client to client. Um, but yeah, being okay with the fact that, okay, I'm gonna get a project this month. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be resourceful, save money, and then maybe 2 months or something goes by and you're like, damn, this was kind of dry, and not freaking out. Like, yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
freelancer. That's bound to happen. But that's why I'm so prominent on social media. Like, to when you have that kind of lifestyle, it is a blessing to be able to post stuff to the world without having to pay any money. um People are like, oh, I don't want to post those. I'm like, dude, that is like the least you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, people had to pay millions of dollars to get this kind of viewage on your videos. I just had a reel
Yeah.
last week that hit over 500,000.
Wow.
um and it's like, dude, to even get those many eyeballs on your content back in the day, you'd have to pay so much money. So, and that was just me speaking. I was just like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not good at this, I'm not good at this, but I was speaking to people. I wasn't even making
Yeah, I
this
saw
crazy
that reel.
render.
I saw that reel. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
would
I think it's just
yeah, I totally would agree on both points. Like you need like to have a little bit of backup money in case like there's no project flowing in. That's
Mhm.
helping for sure. And also like part of the deal being a freelancer is also using social media, as you said, like having this kind of insights and exposure and like kind of reaching to people and also like potential clients, right? They also could see your stuff on social media. It's part of the game. Like people always say they hate doing the social media stuff, and I get it. It's also a little bit, I mean, there's downsides to social media, obviously, like seeing all the people posting in their prime time, and you kind of have a bad day, and then you feel bad, even worse, because you see everyone is so happy and everything is funny and good, and everyone is doing so good work. And but I think it's like part of the deal, right? It's like you need to play the game, and yeah.
yeah, and you don't have to, I think, it's not like you have to. Many times I'll post my thing and get out there, and I'll just
Hmm.
like close the app. Like, you don't have to be like digesting 2 hours of content every time you post. I think it can be hard because it's like, oh shit, this looks funny. Oh, this, but if you stop yourself and you have like some
Yeah.
discipline, also not being afraid, obviously you put your work out there, but not being afraid to put your face and share your voice as well, because when a client
Hmm.
hires you, they just know more about you if they see you talking on camera. Like, okay, this guy looks cool. This guy, even if it's not like the best thing, like they should be just judging your meritocracy and how good you work.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm more likely to hire someone maybe if I see, oh, this guy looks like a dope dude, or this girl looks like really cool. She's not going to give me any trouble. Like if I just have this alias where it's like this guy, I don't even know what they look like.
Yeah.
And I just see their work. I'm like, okay, I know their work's good, but are they going to like take forever? Are these guys somebody that I can trust? Um, so just being more comfortable and confident in front of a camera. It doesn't mean you got to be like me, where like posting yourself all the time. But even like you, I saw your faces on like your profile picture, like having that where people
Hmm.
see, okay, this is a human. This is not just some, especially in this day and age, this is some AI account, bot account.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just being like confident up there.
Yeah, for sure. I also would agree with that. I also sometimes like when I'm on a booking with the studio and I'm working on a team with, let's say, 5 people, sometimes see that people are not even turning on their camera within a meeting, which is a bit weird, like speaking to someone and you don't see the person. I mean, it is even weird, like speaking, like you're like thousands of miles away from me, and we're like right now speaking, which is on the one side it is cool, but on the other side it feels a little bit weird, and it would be so much cooler if we're like in real life next to each other.
Right.
But like not turning on the camera in a meeting is also like super weird, like because you don't. I mean, you hear the people,
Right.
but you don't see the guy behind it.
Like, dude, imagine if this whole time I was just like this.
That would be super awkward, man. Yeah.
It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Is there anything else, guys, you want to ask now or never? I mean, we're bothering Patrick for quite a while.
1 second, let me see if.
Yeah, sure. So, guys, if you have any other question, we can ask him now or never. But I think we covered quite a lot, right? And it was super interesting. I'm very thankful for having him on the stream. Just thanks for the interview. Yeah, you're very welcome. Oh, nice.
This is my new son.
Sweet. That's super sweet.
This is George.
Hi, George. I mean, some people would say having like I remember like was it my grandma was super into this kind of, you know, how do you call it, like esoteric stuff where they say having a black cat gives you bad luck or something. But I think he's super sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get a black cat because my luck was too good recently.
Okay, life is too easy, right? Life is too easy.
Actually, the AI stuff started popping up right when I got him, so maybe it worked.
Fair enough.
Georgie.
Super sweet.
Check him out. He's chill though. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
And he climbs on this camera all the time. That's why I had to close him out of there, because probably 20 times a day he does this. Oh, okay. He'll jump on this because there's a light right here, so it tries to detect the light. But yeah.
Oh, interesting.
George.
Yeah, I have a dog. I'm more like a dog type of guy, but it's better to have a cat because you don't need to go for so many walks per day. Like, I mean, it's on the other side. I have a reason to leave my house and to touch some grass, but yeah, it's a little bit more work than a cat.
No, 100%.
So yeah, let's come to an end here. And I want to thank you so much, man. I appreciate that a lot because like you're a super busy guy and you're a very famous and probably the best food artist I know. And I really appreciate that you come here in this little stream with us Houdini nerds, and you give us a little bit of insight about your workflow, about your thoughts on AI, about your work-life balance stuff, and about you as a person, which was super cool. So big thanks for that.
No, thanks for having me, man. It was great to get to meet you, man. And yeah, anytime I can help out with stuff, just let me know. It was great to meet the Houdini people, and I'm glad they took me in with open arms.
Yeah, likewise.
They're
if
not
you
like the Blender people. No, I'm just playing.
I think we're having a few Blender people in the community, so be careful. Oh. But likewise, if you need any help, I don't know, any Houdini help, and I can do something for you, just hit me up. I would help you anytime. And are you planning, like, I mean, you're in the US and it's probably a bit tricky for you to come to the off, but have you heard about the off in Barcelona? It's a big motion design, and you never heard of it? It's quite a big event. It's quite a big event for us European guys, actually, and I think everyone out of the industry, whether it's a Cinema 4D guy or a Blender guy, everyone goes there, or a Houdini or ZBrush. It's like how would you? I would say it's a big conference. It's like the SIGGRAPH probably in the US. Okay. It's like a big conference.
Or NAB, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes there are also people from the US. So would be quite nice to meet you there, or maybe I come to the US at some point.
When is it?
It's usually around April or May. I don't know, this year.
Oh, so it's coming up, okay.
Yeah, probably this year is gonna be a bit tricky, but maybe next year would be super nice. Maybe at some point you're gonna be a speaker there. That would be even better.
Ooh, that'd be sick.
So the organizers from Off, if you're seeing this stream, please invite Patrick as a speaker. So we all can have some beers with this awesome guy. So yeah, thank you very much. And what else to say? Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. And likewise, I'm looking forward.
It's much later for you right now.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm looking really forward to your next reels and your next work.
Yeah, right on, man. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
All right, guys. And also bye-bye to the chat.